At the top of the conversation, I mentioned that Powell addressed not just interest rates, but also the future of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and cryptocurrency. On these other topics, did anything stand out to you?
Well, I think the whole Consumer Bureau is very interesting. Protection Bureau, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I love how they come up with these mouthful of words. But anyway, it was funded in, I think, a peculiar and unconstitutional way. And that is, instead of getting an annual appropriation from Congress, as every other government agency does, it's funded by the Fed. So the Fed earns interest on the bonds it holds. Until recently, it always had a surplus, which it turned over to the Treasury. At one point, it was turning over $100 billion a year to the Treasury Department. In this case, they did an end run against Congress and had the Fed directly send the cash over to the Bureau. And so there's no traditional accountability. Now, the Fed, as only a central bank in modern times could do, is losing money. It is operating in the red because during the quantitative easing, they so lowered long-term interest rates and bought so many. At one point, the Fed had over $9 trillion on its balance sheet, whereas before the crisis of 2008, 2009, it was only $800 billion. So at one point, there was now about $7 trillion, but 10 times what it was traditionally in the past. But those bonds and mortgages were 1%, 2%, 3%. Well, the Fed also decided years ago to pay interest on bank reserves. Banks take their cash and deposit at the Fed every day. And so they paid interest on those bank deposits. Well, when interest rates went up, guess what? Short rates were 4 or 5%. The Fed was earning 1 or 2 or 3% on its bonds, and so it is losing money. So the challenge is that, okay, you're losing money, therefore you don't have a surplus to finance this Consumer Bureau. Therefore, we can get rid of it we can defund it because you don't have the cash there. And so that's going to be a big battle. And as for cryptos, they're going to still be wondering what this is all about. But the key thing there is making sure the central bank doesn't issue a cryptocurrency, a crypto dollar, because then they'd know everything you spend your money on. They'd have a record.
It sounds a little bit like too much surveillance, perhaps.
Yes.
On the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, we've heard from Democrats that the agency has saved American consumers something like $20 billion since it was created, and has served as a watchdog and a source on information on student loans and overdraft fees. If it is dismantled, where does that oversight go? Does it go to the states, in your opinion?
No, it goes to various regulatory agencies and law enforcement agencies, just as it was before. It wasn't as if nothing was being done about financial fraud until this thing was created 10 or 12 years ago. So it goes back to what it was before. So, yeah, wrongdoing. You got the SEC, you got various bank regulators on the federal and local state level. You have law enforcement, so if skullduggery is going on, you ferret and root it out. So it's not as if it's Wild West time. It was an agency created at the behest of a senator, Senator Warren. They brought in various orders and rules from other agencies and brought them all together. Well, you undo them again. And because they didn't have that accountability to Congress each year, they went and did things that were not based on fact. They went after auto dealers' financing, and turns out it was fact-free. The courts have overruled them several times. So as an agency looking for a mission and creating more trouble than doing good. So, yeah, the surveillance will be there. It's just we'll have one less bureaucracy involved.